right, y'all. Hey, my name is Philip Placencia. I am the host of Bags and Bottles. This is my beautiful co-host and wife, Soleil. We just started this podcast probably a couple of weeks ago with the intentions of helping people. And I'll go over our statement here, or go over our vision and our mission statement here in a second. But today, I'm pretty excited about this, man. I want to introduce our guest. His name is Jeremiah Flores, right? Jeremiah, he's 26 years old. He's in a new relationship. Congratulations.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. He works for Yates Flooring Center here in Lubbock, Texas. He's also a tattoo artist. You can see the ink on his arms. The guy does amazing work. And so at the end of this, we'll be able to, I'll let him introduce his socials. His links will be at the bottom. So when we drop this podcast, you'll be able to follow him on all his different socials. So Jeremiah has been sober and clean for 7 years. He's enjoying life in his sobriety. When he's not working, spending time with family, he's with his kids, listening to music, cooking out, and drawing, and tapping into the art form that he loves to do. And so, again, we're excited to hear his story. He's going to share with us. I will say that the vision of Bags and Bottles is to create a space for anyone and everyone that may be battling alcoholism and or addiction. But what we want to do is we want to offer solutions and resources to overcome this ugly disease. We promote sober living as normal living, okay? And so our statement, our mission statement, is to use this platform to dedicate to shedding light on the complexities of addiction and transformative power of recovery. We offer a space for real stories, honest conversations, practical advice, creating a resource for those in recovery and those seeking it to feel seen, heard, and supported. So by sharing diverse experience and expert perspectives, we strive to inspire hope, break stigma, and empower individuals to take the first step towards lasting sobriety. Okay? So with that said, we're going to jump right into this, man. I'm excited to hear Jeremiah's story. We've met this guy probably about a couple years ago now. It's been a couple years.
Yeah, it's been a couple years for sure.
You know, my wife and I, the business that we do, we've ran into Jeremiah because of our companies doing business together, and it's always been a joy to be around this guy. Like, if you were to ask me if this guy has ever been addicted to anything, I'd be like, no. This guy always has a smile on his face. He's always walking with his chin up and his shoulders back, full of not pride but proud, being a proud person that he is. So he just exuberates like good vibes. And so I'm excited to jump into this. I'm going to let my wife take over. She's got some questions for you, man.
Absolutely, let's do it.
Like I said, hey, let's keep it raw, let's keep it real, let's just jump right into it.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have our questions kind of broken down into addiction, recovery, sobriety, and then we'll end it with a couple of things that you want to say.
Okay,
so,
cool.
I'm probably not going to go through all of them because it's a lot unless you want me to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I got pretty much all the time in the world, and if this means touching somebody's life, then I say we just dive head into it and let's just do it. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so the first question is, can you describe the moment when you first realized you had an addiction or were an alcoholic or addict? What did that moment feel like for you?
Oh, man, that's a really good question. I think the hardest part is no one wants to really admit that they have an addiction. You know, no one wants to really come to terms with the fact that, yes, I'm addicted to something. Like, I know when we go throughout life, everybody says, well, yeah, you got to be addicted to something, whether it's working, whether it's gym, whether it's spending time with family, whether it's just something in that form. It's hard to admit, hey, I'm addicted to something. So I think my moment of realization was when I started needing it more and more often. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember the very first time I did it, man, the very first time, like, my drug of choice was crystal meth. So the very first time I did it, I remember staying up for a week straight, didn't sleep. Like, I was just...
Your first time?
Very first time.
How old were you?
See, this was 2019, so I'm gonna say I was 21 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, 21 at the time. No, actually, I'm wrong. 2019, 20, so around 20.
Okay.
That's when I fell into it. Was 20. Because
Right.
I know I got off around when I was. See, I'll be 27 this year, so it'll be 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about 19.
19, 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super young.
Yeah.
Didn't know much about it. So yeah, that was really my realization point. Was like when it went from the very first time, and I went weeks and weeks and weeks without it. I was like, okay, this is just something like, oh, this is a I can kind of do this whenever type deal.
Yeah.
Well, then it turns into, I can do this one time and be good. And then I started realizing, okay, so it went from 1 month to every other weekend to every weekend to, oh shit, I need this every day now.
Yeah.
Because of the way that people don't really put into perspective what crystal meth is and how fast it can just consume your life.
It's an ugly drug.
It's a terrible drug.
Yeah.
Like, the way that it was explained to me is like, oh, dude, it'll give you energy. It'll make you feel super, like your emotions will, if you're in a good mood, it'll just make you feel super good.
Yeah.
So, of course, at this time, it was when I was going through my first separation. And actually, the person that put me on it, believe it or not, was my older brother. And I remember I had this argument with my ex-wife, and I remember going into my mom's house, staying with my mom at this time, and he was there. And he's like, man, I'm just tired of seeing you so upset, bro. He's like, I'm tired of you feeling so down. And I remember the very first time I had caught him and my cousin doing it, I was like, what are y'all doing? Because I just walked into the room and, they're spinning a little oil burner with the stuff in it. I'm like, what are y'all doing? He's like, oh, we're doing this. And I'm like, He's like, do you want some? And I was like, well, what is it? And my cousin was my saving grace for a long time. Even though he was doing it, he was my saving grace for a long time. He's like, man, if you have to ask that question, brother, he's like, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? That's a good perspective to have. That's a really good perspective to have. Because, of course, like, growing up, I always heard, like, my mom and dad were addicts, so I always heard these terms like ice or, glass or whatever.
Yeah.
But I never knew what it was. So it wasn't so many different names. Yeah, so many different terms and slangs for it that whenever my brother's like, oh, we're smoking ice, I'm like, that's weird. Normally when you melt ice, when you burn ice, it melts, it turns into water, right?
Yeah.
So at that time, I didn't know what it was. So for, I want to say, at least a good solid 2 months, man, he was my saving grace. Because even though I would walk in on them constantly doing it, I would always like, well, what is it? What does it do? And he's like, dude, if you have to ask those questions, don't. Just stay away.
Yeah.
And then finally on that day, he caught me at a bad time. And I don't really put the blame on him too much, though, because, of course, we all have a choice when it comes to something like that,
Yeah.
So,
but it was a vulnerable moment for
definitely.
you, and you feel like, man, I want to tap in a little bit and
see
absolutely. Where this takes me.
Yeah, it was definitely a vulnerable moment. Like I said, he caught me, I don't want to say at the right place, at the wrong time, but it was definitely one of those situations where I was like, what do I have to, fuck it. Like, what do I have to lose at this point? So, man, I remember I did it. I want to say, honestly, I can honestly remember the time it was like 4:25. I had just gotten off of work, and we had just gotten into an argument, and I went home, and I was like, whatever, dude. So I remember I did it at that time, and it's so weird, too, because when you're feeling all that energy, time just flies.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that 1 hour turned into 1 day turned into 2 days, and it's just going like that, bro, like a non-stop wheel. And then my brother's like, dude, you need to go to sleep. I'm like, well, what day is it? And he's like, it's already next week. I'm like, there's no way, bro. Like, we've literally just been chilling the whole time. He's like, no, like, you've been
stuck in the house.
Yeah, no, actually, I was going to work too. That's the crazy thing.
Wow.
I was working at her shutters at this time. I was functioning. Yeah. Wow. So I wouldn't go to sleep, and I'm like, well, what time is it, man? I gotta go to work. And he's like, well, I'm supposed to be at work at 5:30. He's like, dude, it's 4:45. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna shower real quick. And then every day I was like that, bro, just going to work, and I had so much energy that he was like, do you want another? And I'm like, dude, I'm good, bro. Like, I was just so wired, dude. It was so weird. So I was just doing that for a whole week, just going and chilling with him, and then going to work, and going and chilling with him, going to work. And I only did it that one time. That's how powerful that stuff is.
Yeah.
It just super crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really weird.
How did your addiction impact your relationship with family, friends, and your colleagues?
For the longest time, I want to say the first 6 months, it was actually hidden. I don't know how I was able to hide it so well, but nobody knew except for my brother, my cousin, and my other brother that was actually using at the time.
Because y'all were using together.
Yeah. Well, so I had an older brother that put me onto it, and then that same older brother actually put my other older brother onto it. So we were never like I don't want to say, well, yeah, actually we were potheads. So that's how we got introduced into the drug world, was weed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember we were at my mom's house and we were hanging out, we're drinking, and then my brother happens to walk into my brother's room, which is the one that put us onto it. And then my other brother texts me, he's like, hey, come here real quick. So then I walk into my brother's room and I see my brother with the exact same thing. I'm like, what are you doing in here? And he's like, no, what are you doing in here? So we kind of like busted each other at the same time.
Oh.
I was like, oh man. He's like, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, I came to get a hit real quick. And he's like, you're on this stuff too? And I was like, dude, you're on this stuff? Like, it was just so weird. 'Cause it's like, you know how in those cartoons when you catch each other doing stuff you're not supposed to be doing, you're like, what are you doing? Like, what are you? That's exactly that moment. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
So it was super weird. But the first person outside of that, the people that knew I was doing it was my mom. She definitely.
Was she catching on to your behaviors? And
absolutely.
habits?
Because since she was an addict too, so my mom and dad were like into everything, like speed, LSD, coke, meth, like whatever drug that was out there, you name it, they did it.
Yeah.
So eventually, when I walked out of the room and I went to sit on the couch, she happened to come in to the living room. She's like, I need to talk to you. And I was like, oh man, dang, I'm about to get lectured. I know I'm about to get lectured. She done found out. She's pretty much gonna put me in my grave. So she's like, come to the room. So I go to her room, and I remember, I'll never forget the feeling that I had when I looked at her and she touched my face.
Ooh.
It's okay.
When she touched my face and she told me, I know what's going on. And she was telling me, she's like, you can't be that naive to think that I wasn't going to notice. Exactly. And she said, because I've never, I guess just being a mom or being a parent, you have instincts, right? And she picked up on it super quick. And I remember she would ask me, and I would just, no, Mom, like, come on. Like, we've gone through this, like, CPS took us away. You know, I would never put myself in that position, just trying to play the part.
Yeah.
And when she put her hand on my face, she told me, she's like, I know. She's like, I see it all over you. And just
at that point, you just gotta,
bro,
I'm like,
yeah.
That's
and
my mama.
Yeah, and see, my
Okay,
mom, I didn't know, man, honestly, I didn't know how to admit to it, because she had a way of knowing when we would lie to her, because
mamas do.
So she caught on to mine and my brother behavior really fast, because when we tell you the truth, we're gonna look in your eye and tell you the truth. And she always noticed when we told a lie, we would
look away.
Yeah, exactly, look away. And I was like, no, I couldn't do it. So when she's like, I know, and I tried to turn my head, she's like, you're not gonna lie to me like that. And I was like, yeah, Mom. And she's like, how long has it been? And I told her, I said, well, this is the first month since, because I lived with her for a good little while. I was like, this is the first month that I've been on it. And she's like, well, how often are you doing it? And I told her, I said, at this point, it was like every other day. For the first 3 months, it was like every other day. And, man, she was like, as long as you're doing it here and I can watch over you, she says, I can't tell you what to do because you're grown. I don't approve of what you're doing, but this is a lesson that you're going to have to learn on your own.
Yeah.
And I remember her telling me that, like, as soon as she told me that, I broke down, bro. I was like, I didn't want to put myself in this position, because I remember how neglected we felt when y'all were using any drug that y'all were using on the weekend.
Man, that's deep.
You know, like, I remember taking my little sister and my older brother, and luckily when we got put under CPS, they kept us together, because my mom told them, like, hey, if you separate them, they're not going to make it.
Yeah.
You know, because when the times that we found out that they were doing stuff, we would just sit in our bedroom together. Like, my older brother would comfort us. My little sister would, you know, she was always right there beside us, and I didn't want to be in that position, because I remember how much it hurt. You know, to live in the same house as someone and never see them.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's a tough position.
Yeah.
To when you
and
do,
your kids.
to when you do wake up and you go to your parents' room and you try to, hey, Mom, and they're not responding to you because they're so gone. Yeah. You know, it's a pretty shitty feeling to have. So it just, man, I don't even know how to put it into words. it was affecting my family and friends, and then it's always so hard to tell them like, hey, well, I'm addicted to this, you know, especially during that time, because you don't want to tell anybody you're addicted to something that deadly with that death rate, you know, that has to
That
come.
much power.
Yeah, that much power, exactly.
Yeah.
You don't really want to be able to tell people that type of thing.
Yeah.
So that definitely made it hard. But yeah, my mom was definitely the first person that caught my behavior quick.
Well, you know, I'll say this probably a million times, and I'll probably say this on this podcast a lot more times. But what I will say this is, one of the
Restricted.
I got restricted.
Yeah, because we're talking about adult things.
Okay. One of the
Sorry.
Yeah, don't be too soft, TikTok.
This is real shit.
Yeah,
Right.
it's as real as it gets, man.
I think one of the most responsible things I think a woman can do is, one, admit that they've got a problem.
Absolutely.
Right. And then the second thing is, you know, as a man, I think the most strongest and toughest things we can ever do is ask for help.
Yeah.
You know, and so
As hard as it is, though, it takes a
Yeah,
lot of
it
courage.
really
Absolutely.
is like the hardest thing, because I feel like, especially like not trying to bring gender into it, but especially when you're a man, it's so hard to look to anybody and be like, hey man, I need help, because
well, yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. Not just gender, but I'll get more specific. Like,
yeah,
in our community, like people of color in our community,
yeah,
you're looked down upon when
Absolutely.
you admit, oh, I'm an alcoholic or
Yeah.
I'm an addict.
absolutely.
No, don't. You know, hey homeboy, don't mention that. Just, you know, take care of
Just
your
keep on
business.
Yeah, just keep
Have
going.
another drink. Take care of your business.
Yeah.
Have another hit. Take care
Yeah,
of your business.
exactly,
You're not
bro.
an alcoholic. You're
Yeah.
not an addict.
Yeah,
You know, don't say that. You look down upon like
They
as
teach it as
somebody
a
weak.
label.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
is so far wrong from the truth, bro. That's backwards thinking.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I want to break that stigma, and we want to reverse the script, flip the script, and be like, hey man, if you're a man and you're a woman out there and you're struggling with alcohol addiction, whatever it is, and you're afraid to admit it, that's the first and best thing you can ever do is admit it out loud. Like for
Absolutely.
me, because for the longest time, like I didn't even admit I was like an alcoholic
yeah,
until probably about 2 months ago, and I'm 46 years old, bro.
Yeah.
Because I was up, my tios and my dad, nah, you don't say that.
yeah. Because I mean, especially growing up like in a Hispanic community, that's an every weekend thing.
It's
Every-
every family
yeah,
function.
exactly.
Every,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
salads, the cookouts,
Yeah,
whatever. You
absolutely,
gotta
bro.
have
Well, not
Yeah.
just
your
that.
columns.
Some people are raised in a family where if you say like, "Oh, you're an alcoholic," you're judging.
Yeah.
Oh, you're better than me
Yeah.
because you don't drink.
No, 100%.
So
Exactly,
it's
and like my mom, I used to make jokes about that all the time, because I remember when I would drink with my mom, I would have like 2 beers, and I would always tell her, she's like, "That's all you're gonna drink?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm not an alcoholic like y'all. Like I can't drink constantly and you know, I can't do it."
But see, so when you do, this is good, man. We're touching on some good stuff. So when
Yeah.
when you have those type of behaviors for so long, whether it's every single weekend, oh, it's somebody's birthday, oh,
Yeah.
we're getting the fight tonight,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
we're having a cookout on Sunday.
Yep.
That becomes part of your nature. That
Yeah.
becomes part of your lifestyle. Where
Yeah.
like we have to get drunk and fucked up.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
You don't.
No,
you
yeah.
No, you don't. Like
Yeah.
there's so much clarity to sobriety. There's so much goodness to sobriety.
Absolutely.
But again, that's that stigma that within our community. There's
Yeah.
like, you ain't drinking, fool. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, no,
You
100%.
don't want to drink? Hey,
Yeah.
take a drink.
Yeah.
Take a drink. Man.
Absolutely,
it's just
bro.
One, it's just one.
Yeah.
Like we've all been there.
Yeah, and then one turns into
Bullshit.
two.
Or
Yep.
shots. Just take one
Yeah,
shot.
take a shot.
That's
It's your
me.
birthday.
Yeah, that's me. That's me. I can't go to a function and not take a shot first. That's my problem. Like I'll go to my cousin's birthday and I'm taking a shot.
Yeah.
And then it just slowly gravitates from there. So
That's
yeah, I definitely get that point. That's a good point that you make, Phil. I really like that statement right there, man. That's
Sorry to
pretty
get
much-
off subject.
No, you're
but
good.
That's pretty.
we're touching on
Yeah,
some good
no,
stuff
that's
here.
that's
Yeah.
pretty home based, man. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go into anything else you want to touch on about addiction before we move on to recovery.
Yeah, it's tough. Man, too. I remember when I started realizing that the turning point of my life was, I'll never forget, was my kids. Because I remember, like I told you, I remember feeling the way that I felt when my mom and dad were using.
When the roles were reversed.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I was sitting there like, man, how could y'all do this? You know, how could you, especially my mom. I remember when we argued about it, the morning that we got taken away, because of course, we didn't expect it to happen. But I remember she was getting us ready for school, and she was so zoned out, bro. So zoned out. Like, I'll never forget that day that CPS showed up to school. But I was like, why are you shaking? Why are you falling over? Why are you, like, you can't even stand up straight.
She was coming down.
Yeah, she was coming down hard. And I remember getting to school, and then CPS coming to school and starts asking us all these questions, and then we get checked out of school, and as soon as we get into the house, they all show up. CPS shows up, right? Starts trying to separate us, starts doing, like, packing our stuff and all this stuff. And I remember that the biggest turning point in my addiction was, I got off subject a little bit, but looking at my kids and seeing them look at me the same way that I looked at my mom. The exact same thing. And I think what really did it for me was my oldest knocking on my bedroom door, and I remember opening it, and I went and sat on the couch because I didn't want her to feel alone, and she did the same thing my mom did. She did the same, touched my face, and she said, "Daddy, are you okay?"
Whew.
And bro, I remember exactly how I'm sitting now. I was on the couch, I was sitting there, and I was just like this, just kind of like falling over. And she came and she did that. She said, "Dad, are you okay?" And it instantly took me back to,
It's like a trigger.
yeah, like it instantly took me back to that point when I asked my mom the same thing. And it took me back to the same day that my mom told me it was okay. Like, it wasn't okay, but it was okay.
Yeah.
And to sacrificing everything that I stood for, and literally everything that I had that was valuable to me was being sold for that. And I remember even getting to the point, bro, to where my daughter came out. She's like, "Dad, I'm hungry," and I had nothing in the house.
Wow.
And I want to say I probably had maybe about $20 in my account. But of course, I was like, I cannot spend this $20 because I'm almost out.
Gotta re-up.
I gotta re-up.
Yeah. How old was your daughter at that time, bro?
2019. See, my daughter was born in 2015. She was 4.
You, man, I'm a firm believer, man. And I don't know what your beliefs are, but I feel like God uses children a lot just because of their purity.
Absolutely, bro.
And God speaks through kids, man. And I think maybe even at our darkest and our ugliest, most impure times in life, God still reveals Himself to us, which we don't deserve whatsoever. But I believe, again, this is just my opinion. My thoughts is like, God saw you going down a path.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, man. Like, he ain't
don't
gonna listen to me.
nobody.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly.
I'm gonna use this beautiful little child of mine.
Yeah.
And I'm hey, let's, and so.
I'm about to reroute this whole
Yeah.
thing.
Exactly. And see, that was like, I ended up giving in, bro, because I remember, like, they had nothing here. She was like, I could hear her sitting there next to me, and her stomach was grumbling.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Like, I can't put my needs, or not even a need. At this point, it was a need.
Yeah.
Right. But I was like, I can't put my needs before hers.
Yeah.
Ever.
So ever. So I remember, I drove to McDonald's, and I thought I had $20 in there. Turns out I didn't. I had maybe like 10 or 15.
Uh-huh.
So I ordered my food, and I go back and I look at my account, and I'm already negative. I'm like, dude, there's no way I just had money in here. But then I start thinking about how much I was pulling out and how much I was spending on stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Dad, you forgot my Happy Meal." The whole reason why I went to McDonald's, right, was to get her and my son food. And I totally forgot to order their food. So I go back around, and I remember this was actually like my turning point. This is where it really hit me, like, oh shit, I really do have a problem, was when I walked into McDonald's and I ordered her Happy Meal, my son's Happy Meal. Literally at this point, of course, like, cost of living has gone up, but it was like $6, and my card got declined. And I was like, I can't even afford a fucking Happy Meal for my kids. that's when I was like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, I had to put it into perspective on what I was really doing.
Yeah.
And I think those little bitty things people ignore.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so easy to get lost into that type of thing, that when you're spending money, like, you're making money, but you're spending it and you don't really care at that point because you're so addicted. It's like you don't weigh out, you really don't put on a scale what's important and what's not important. You just kind of just go with the flow. Like, okay, well, I did this. Okay, bills are paid. I have X amount of money left. Let's go get what we need. Yeah. And it's the shitty part because you don't ever really need it. Your body, your mind, it's just it's a mental thing. Yeah. And that's what I tell so many people. Like, bro, it's all a mental thing. Yeah. Like, literally, it's not I need. It's more of your head telling you I want, and it's not, something that you necessarily need. Damn. But yeah, that was.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know Cammy would be like, I'm hungry, and he's like, what do you want? What do you want?
Yeah, it's like that now. Like, I feel like now, since I've gotten to that point, bro, like, whatever my kids want.
I'll feed you.
Yeah,
what do you want?
Yeah, you just name the place and we'll go. And we go to McDonald's on a daily. Like, I'm so fucking.
Y'all use the app?
Yeah. Dude, I got like over 10,000 points on my McDonald's. So if y'all need something from Mickey D, y'all let me know, because I got it, yeah.
I got it now.
Yeah, because I got it, exactly. I got it like that. Shout out to Ronald McDonald, man. Jeez.
That's funny.
Yeah. But no, man, that was a pretty clear sign of my addiction right there.
So, okay, we've talked about the addiction. What did recovery? Oh, you know what?
No, you're good.
What did recovery look like for you? Like, when did you say, okay, I need help, and then how did you do that? Like, what was your process?
So my recovery process, man, I want to say the last time that I decided to smoke anything, I tripped so hard. Like, I want to say it was like maybe 10 o'clock at night, and I was like, you know what? Like, at this point, I was already able to smoke and go to sleep, which is really weird because when you do stuff like that, like, you have so much energy, so you're burning, at the same time, you're burning fuel. Yeah. But it got to the point where I was like, okay, I know I need to sleep, so I was telling my body, like, hey, dude, it's time to shut down. Yeah. And I would smoke like a couple hours before, and then finally when that's winding down, I felt like I got to the point to where that night that I had my biggest trip was so scary, bro. It was so scary because
see some stuff.
I saw a lot.
See the devil?
I did. I remember I was walking out to take the trash. I don't know what possessed me to take the trash at 10 o'clock at night, but I just something. Yeah, obviously I had no fear. I had no fear of anything at this point. But yeah, something possessed me to take out the trash at 10 o'clock at night. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna take the trash out. So I take the trash out, and where I'm living, there was this house that was abandoned for a little bit before our neighbors bought it. And there was a fence, like just a regular wooden fence. And as I'm walking out my front door, I'm hearing in my ear, like, just this noise. Like, but it's not like a noise, it's like somebody whispering. Like, I'm just like, nah, dude, I'm super high, I'm tripping, right? But the closer that I got to rounding the corner of my house, the louder it got. And it kept telling me, like, I'm here. That's all I kept hearing. Like, it started as a whisper, but then it got like somebody was right here telling me I'm here. And I was walking, and I had my head down, and on this side I was like, don't look up. Please don't look up, because if you look up, you're going to see something. And sure enough, again, I heard it. I'm here. Look up.
And you're thinking it's the trip?
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm just tripping. Like, I know I'm just tripping. And then when I heard look up, I look up, and on that fence was the devil, just sitting there. Like, it was so weird, bro, because like I got the chills. But I remember when I looked up and I saw him sitting there, he was sitting casual, just like somebody sitting on a brick wall, with his feet crossed and his hands just like this. And I remember seeing him, and then I just saw like this fucking smile, and he's like, I'm coming. And when
he was recruiting you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And when I heard that, when I saw him, and he smiled like that, and he said that, he slid down the fence. It's so weird because how do you slide down a fence? Yeah. And he just slid down. He took one step, and I was like, I'm sorry, man, but you're not. Yeah. You're not gonna take. He's like, no. He's like, I got you, like that. Yeah. He's like, it was so easy to just take your heart like that. Man. And I told him. I remember I'm sitting there, I'm freaking out. I'm like dead still where I'm standing, and me and him were so far away from each other. but I could feel him so close to me. And I'm like, you're not. I was like, I know what I'm doing is wrong, but the love that I have for God is so much stronger than what you think the authority that you think you have over me.
Yeah, man, the devil's real.
He really is.
He's powerful.
Yeah, he really is. And they say if you believe in God, you got to believe in the devil, right?
That's right.
I never ever once even considered believing in the devil until I saw him that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is fucking scary. And I just kept telling him, I was like, you're not. And he's like, I'm going to take you, I promise.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're not. I put that on everything I love. You're not taking me.
Yeah.
And dude, it was such a battle that night, bro. I remember like him walking towards me, and I didn't even want to go to the dump. Honestly, I left the bag of trash on the side of the house. I was so scared to take any more steps because I could feel his presence so overwhelmingly close to me that I did not want to move.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like I'm going back.
Yeah, I was like, I literally felt like if I was standing off with a normal person and I just backtracked. I didn't even turn around, didn't give him my bag, and just walked back into my house.
Crazy, man. Powerful.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way.
Stuff, man.
There's no way. But as far as my recovery on that, you said how was the process? That night that I tripped, bro, I remember seeing I swear I thought DEA was coming into my house. Like, I saw...
Because you were high?
Yeah, okay. Because I saw, like, I would look up at the ceiling and I just saw red and blue lights. I was like, they fucking know.
Got me.
Yeah, they caught me. Because I was a peeker. You ever heard of a peeker?
Oh, yeah.
Like when you go to the blinds. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was a peeker, bro. Yeah. So I would turn on all the lights in my house. Yeah, I would turn on all the lights in my house, bro. And I remember that night was one of those nights where even my coach lived down the road. He texted me. He's like, why do you keep turning on your lights?
You for real?
Yes, I swear. He texted me. He's like, all the lights in the house are on. He's like, and you keep turning off and on your outside light. And I'm like, yeah. No, obviously I couldn't. No.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but no, bro. I was a switch flipper. That's what I did. Like any little time I felt like something was crazy like that. Turn the light on. I would freak out. But
So was there so when you sought help, like was it a thing where you're like, okay, I'm done, I'm doing this, I'm not going back to this, or was it like, hey bro, I got a problem, I need to get myself in the community, or was it a church? Was it all you? Like
it was all me, bro.
Like? Yeah,
it was all me. So I remember after that night, my wife at the time, she was like, okay, she's like, you're done.
She knew.
So that's one thing I put her on to that. Mm-hmm. So she was like, I need to figure out, because we had the same past. Like our parents, mm-hmm. Like she's adopted because of drug issues and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So when I put her onto that, the first night was, I need to see what it feels like so I can help you. That was her intention.
Oh wow.
Yeah, her intention was, I need to know what you're going through,
okay, so
I can help you.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like you don't. I can't allow this to happen.
Man, wow.
And she's like, no. She's like, I'm telling. This was her ultimatum. She's like, either you let me do this so I can help you, or you will never come home. Mm. And at that time, it was my son. He was 6 months old, and my daughter was 4.
Wow.
And I was like, you know what? Fine. We'll do it.
Yeah.
And then that just went all downhill after that. So then that night when I started tripping, she took I want to say I had like maybe a t-shirt of stuff, which is like a bag this long filled to the top.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's man, ridiculous. And she took the pipe that I had, she wrapped it in toilet paper, and she actually pulled me into the restroom. She said, put your shoe on. I was like, for what? She's like, you're going to smash it. I was like, I'm not doing that. No. And she's like, yeah, you are. And I remember her taking that bag, bro, and opening it up. And, of course, with crystal meth, when it gets wet, it dissolves. Mm-hmm. She starts emptying out that bag into the toilet. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, there's no way this is going on. Like, that was $100. Yeah. Like, there's no way.
That's the first thing that pops in your head.
That's the first thing that popped into my head. Like, there's no way. So then finally we're going back and forth. And I was like, no, I don't have anything left. This is all I have left. She's like, you're going to smash it. She's like, or you can get out. I'm like, cool. She wrapped it up, put it in front of me, sat there and I looked at it, debated on what was more important, drugs or my family. And the more that I looked at that thing and the more that I started reliving my past with my mom and my dad, and the conversation that I had with my little girl on the couch, the more that drugs started fading away.
That was a very pivotal moment for you at that
Absolutely,
time.
bro.
Yeah.
And after it hit that middle point to where I was like, okay, my family's bigger than what this is, I didn't hesitate to smash that.
Man.
And I remember smashing it, picking it up. I didn't even look at it. I just picked it up, flushed it down the toilet too.
Hey, dude.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, bro.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say it was hard, man, because once you put into perspective what's really more important, your decisions, they just come like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so we sat there and we talked, and I remember calling my mom, and for some reason, when I called her that next morning, it didn't even ring once. She picked up super fast.
It's like she was waiting for you.
Yeah. And so I call her. I'm like, Mom. She's like, yes. I was like, you have a key to the house. I said, I need you to come and watch the kids for a little while so I can get some sleep. And she's like, what's going on? I said, I'm done. She's like, what do you mean? I said, I don't have anything left. I'm done. So she showed up to the house, and she looked at me, and she's like, can you please explain to me what you're done? I think she thought I was getting suicidal. Because the way that I put it into her head was, I'm like,
done with life.
Yeah, I'm done with life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm done. And she sat me, she had my kids go to their bedroom. She closed the door, and we sat
My
on
memory's cool. It's cool.
and we sat on the couch, and she grabbed my face. She's like, please don't do this. I was like, do what? She's like, don't tell me you're done with life. I'm like, no, Mom, like, I'm done with the drugs.
Yeah.
And she was like, are you serious? And I was like, yes, ma'am. I was like, so every day when you get off of work, can you please come over here? And I even had one of my older brothers, too, my other brothers.
Catch up on some rest.
Yeah. I gave him a key to the house because he lived right down the street. And I said, bro, if you don't mind, come every hour.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I'm going to be out.
Because it just makes you sleep.
It just, yeah, once your body gets deprived of it, like, you just want to sleep.
It just shuts down.
Yeah, your body literally just shuts down. And I told him, like, come every hour if you can. If not, you know, that's fine, but I need you here. And he was like, well, what's going on? And he already knew too. I was like, I'm done, bro. And he thought the same thing. He's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, like, I'm done with drugs. Like, I don't want to go in front of people. I don't want to admit to everybody that I had a problem. I was like, so I'm just going to cold turkey the shit. Let me sleep it out, get it out of my system. And that's what I did, bro. I literally, for 2 weeks straight, if I wasn't sleeping, I woke up to either shower to go back to sleep, or I woke up to eat and go back to sleep.
Your body was just rejuvenating,
Bro,
like all your nutrients and everything were
I was
picking
just
up.
so malnourished, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
All your
would you
levels were off.
Would you call that kind of your support system while you were going?
Yeah, absolutely. My mom and my brother, yeah.
Ironically enough, right?
Yeah. Well, see, the brother that I called, he was a major pothead. That's all he did was smoke weed.
Yeah.
But the other brothers that I had that put me onto the drug, they were still doing their thing. Yeah, they were still using. So I wouldn't allow them to the house anymore.
Yeah.
After I hit the point to where I knew I was done, I was like, I told both of them, I'm sorry, I can't have y'all here.
Yeah.
And they took it really hard at first, and like you said, they were like, oh, so you think you're better than us now? Yeah. I'm like, no. And dude, I can't.
Myself.
Yeah, I can't sit there and say that I'm better than y'all when I was doing the exact same thing y'all were doing. Yeah. Like, how would that?
Basically, I'm weak. Like, I can't be around that. Bro.
Yeah,
like,
and
respect
that's what I would tell them. And they're like, no, like, you think you're better. I'm like, dude, there's no way, shape, or form that I think I'm better than y'all.
Yeah.
You know, I can't. I've already gotten to a point to where I understand what this drug is, and I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't remember, bro, a time where I woke up and I remembered what happened throughout the day. Like, that's how gone I was every single day. Like, literally days were just blended together. I couldn't remember what I did yesterday compared to now. I could tell you what happened a week ago. You know what I mean?
Mental clarity, man.
Yeah, exactly, bro. It was such a weird feeling to have. But yeah, definitely my mom and my cousin who I actually call my brother, they were definitely the biggest support systems that I had.
You feel like that's super important when trying to get sober as a support system?
Absolutely, 100%. Because
even if it's just one
person can really change your life. Like they say, one person can change the world. One person has the ability to come into your life and give you something that no one else could. Like, yes, it's up to you to make that decision and move forward, but if you feel like you're alone, it's so easy to relapse. And a lot of people won't sit there and be like, oh, I'm alone, or I need help. Like Phil said, it's so hard to reach out and tell people, like, man, I have this problem going on, because they're going to tell you, that's not a problem. Take another,
You're fine.
Yeah, you're fine. Suck it up.
Yeah.
So having somebody that was able to sit there with me and be like, okay, I'll be there for you. Do what you got to do.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest thing right there.
You know, you said your ex-wife, she gave you an ultimatum, but which was good. Don't get me wrong. In hindsight, that is good.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of like a stepping.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it came down to you making that decision. You could have been like, no, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm leaving.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, I'm out. I'm gonna choose this drug over my family, which unfortunately happens.
Yeah.
You know, more times than we like to see it happen. But bro, you made a huge decision, and it changed, you know, the trajectory of your life and your kid's life, man. So
Yeah.
you got to give yourself a lot of credit, bro. That's
Appreciate that, bro.
that's a very powerful thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you learned about yourself since becoming sober that you didn't know before?
I'm a lot stronger than what I thought I was. That it's okay to be vulnerable in certain positions, but to not make compromises with your non-negotiables.
Yeah, that's good.
That's a good one.
It's real good.
Like, don't allow yourself to be put in certain positions to where you do have to make those compromises. And if you are making any type of compromise, it should be within bettering yourself.
Yeah. And that also goes back to what I was just saying, man. Another powerful thing that you did is you broke the cycle, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's generational curses and there's generational, you know, blessings, and you know, I don't want to call it a curse. You know, I don't want to speak like that, but
Yeah.
you know, there was a pattern there.
Absolutely.
Family.
100%.
And you're like, that pattern is no more. That
It
stops.
stops
That buck
with me.
stops with me.
Yeah.
Right. Like, my kids aren't going to go through what I went through.
Absolutely.
You know, and so
Yeah.
that's just another. Again, that's just another powerful thing as a man that you
Yeah.
can be proudful.
Yes, sir.
That you did that, man.
Yeah.
And so now your kids are like, you know, when they grow up, they can have a story and say my dad was present.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's the most important thing for me too, because like I was telling her, I said we either come from a long line of alcoholics, drug dealers, gang members.
Yeah.
That, like, if we're not one of those things, we're all the above.
Right.
And
too often people they play the victim card. They're like, well, I'm just a victim of my society. Or,
Yeah.
Or, you know, this is the way I raised, and this is who I am.
yeah, product of your environment for
Product
sure.
of your environment.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, everybody has the same amount of resources that I do, that you do, that you do, that you do.
Yeah.
You just gotta seek it.
Yeah.
You know, and you gotta put your big boy pants on and be like, all right, man, I'm gonna be a man today. I'm gonna make a decision.
Absolutely, bro.
For my family.
Yeah.
So
And
same with women.
Yeah, for the longest time I didn't feel like that because I knew, of course, what was going on in my home growing up, and for so long, like, I stayed away from drugs. Like I want to say, as ironic as it is, and now that I've grown up and my dad has talked to me about different things, one of my dad's proudest moments was I've been smoking weed since I was literally 3 years old, bro. 3.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, I did not know
You didn't know that? Yeah.
I did not know that.
So that was like one of my dad's biggest things was like, and my mom used to hate it. She hate, obviously, because who wants to put their kid in that position, right?
Wow.
So I remember my cousin used to bring all his friends over, and my brother used to bring all his friends over, and you see at this time, like, I had been smoking weed for years already, so I was like 6 years old, and one of my dad's proudest moments was when my brother brought his friends over, and these guys are like 18, 19 years old, and I'm 6. I could out-smoke them and out-roll more joints than they could. And that was like my dad's proudest moment.
My daughter's 5.
You're kidding.
No, bro, I
I
swear.
can't imagine looking at her rolling
Exactly. Exactly. It's so
Maybe
weird
a tunnel,
because if I were to bring my dad,
Netflix, are you catching this? We need some receipts.
I'm telling you, bro, if I were to call my dad right now and have him confirm that, he would tell you, like, yeah, my son used to out-smoke my son's friends, and he could roll joints better than any of them.
So he taught you that,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's not something you YouTube. I know that was your problem, man. No, but yeah, that was like one of his biggest things, bro, cuz I could literally I could hang, and like,
Man.
that's not my
Was it
proudest
dirt
moment.
weed back then?
Yeah, it was just
That
regular.
Mexican weed.
Yeah.
Backyard
Yeah, yeah. It was
The shit now.
yeah. No, it was that regular Reggie, you know, like where you could actually function while being high. But yeah. No, it was man.
Regardless.
It's it's a funny story to tell because like honestly, man, when I do tell my dad present, he laughs because he's like, yeah, he was really doing that.
Wow.
Like I couldn't imagine smoking weed with my son and being like, hey man, I'll roll this dude for me real quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, my dog. You know, like
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine putting my son in that position, man. But looking back at it now, it's a funny story to tell. Like it brings me a lot of joy. Honestly, as dumb as it sounds, like I feel like because I didn't have so many good memories with him growing up.
Yeah.
Just to be able to see him smile about something,
Yeah.
especially after like that was our big thing. That's why we were so neglected. Anytime that we tried to be present, he was so abusive that now it's hard to talk to him and not feel so angry at the things that he did.
Yeah.
You know, like that being. Like that will to me will always be a core memory because like I remember just seeing him laugh and smile so much, and it was very rare that we got that from him.
Yeah.
So that's why like I can tell it and it makes me laugh because it brings back, you know, that.
There's solace in that.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, man.
But,
what has been the most rewarding part of living a sober life now?
being able to see my kids happy, I would have to say. Them still not knowing what exactly was wrong, but like Phil said, being present in their life. And when I was doing what I was doing, I wasn't present. And like I said, it goes back to how could you live in the same house as someone and never see them? Because I was always chasing. Yeah. Because I was always chasing so much. Like whenever you get onto any type of drug, you chase the first high that you ever get from that drug. And that's why people say it's a ghost. You'll never catch it. You'll never get the exact same feeling if you're not. It's like with meth, there's so many different ways to do it. You can eat it, you can snort it, you can smoke it, you can inject it. So when I started to realize, luckily for me, that at that point I wasn't getting high from smoking anymore, my cousin's like, it's time for you to move on. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, and he pulled out a needle. I was like, no, dude, absolutely not.
Yeah. Thank God.
I was like, no. And he's like, I'm telling you, if you do this, every feeling that you get will be like the very first time you ever touched it. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I don't even like it's so weird because I don't like needles, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm super tatted. Like, I don't like getting shots from the doctor. I don't like anything like that. Like, and on top of that, to like look down and put something in your arm, like, no, absolutely not, bro. I'm sorry.
I just think, man, that life is so fast.
Yeah.
And especially when you have children, life goes by. They grow up so fast.
Yeah.
We talked about this, all the little moments, if you can hold on to those.
Absolutely.
And build a core memory.
Yeah.
With your child.
Yeah.
I think that's super important because when you're inebriated or you're just, like, she'll be like, do you remember this? And I'm like, no. I was probably drunk.
Yeah.
I was probably high.
And that's so sad
And
because
it's so sad, bro.
the
Yeah,
simple
absolutely.
things that she does, it's like you missed it. And then when he got sober, or like he's in his recovery now, he had a beard like a week ago.
Yeah.
And she filled it up with butterfly clips, right? And he's sitting there, and he's smiling, but he can't believe he's in that situation.
Yeah.
Because before it would have bothered me.
Yeah.
Where
You know,
she's
like, you
putting
messed up my high.
Yeah.
You know? But
Yeah.
now it's just like,
she's feeling
I
it,
love
and
this.
it made
Yeah.
her so. She's like, look. And to her, that was like, we don't grasp the joy that brings the kids.
Yeah.
Like even if it's just putting butterflies on his beard, to
Yeah,
her that was
absolutely.
like art.
Sure.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and then,
Absolutely.
I look at him and I'm like, wouldn't you rather be here doing that than being
100%.
drunk?
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
And I think that's a big deal too, because when I wasn't present, it was so weird because I did miss out on a lot of things. Like I did, like for example, like I missed my son's first steps. I missed my son's first Halloween.
Yeah.
You know, because I was zoned out.
Yeah.
Like just the little things like that when I think about them now, I really wish I could go back and not have to see his first Halloween through pictures.
Yeah.
Because I would have much rather been present at that time.
Yeah. Well, we can't. Unfortunately, we can't go back in time. But the thing is, like, from here on out, you're not going to miss those opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So don't beat yourself up on stuff like that, man, because we can't. If we let the shame and the guilt, fester, it'll drive us to our graves.
Yeah,
man. So
absolutely.
we got to wake up every day and be like, thankful God. Thank you for another day of sobriety.
Yeah.
Thank you for my recovery, and just take it one day at a time. And,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of people, they get so caught up in that they don't want to take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
And that's really all it is knowing that, hey, if that was your darkest moment, the rest is sunshine.
Yeah.
Whether, it's just a bad day or... Because even to this day, man, like, I'll clear my throat sometimes, and I still get the taste.
Mm.
And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, brother. I'm like...
Yeah,
no, it's not worth. Yeah, it's like it's not worth it.
Yeah. There's sometimes where I'll smell certain things, like peanut butter.
Yeah,
I love peanut butter.
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
Maybe the reason why I love peanut butter because I love cocaine.
Yeah.
But there's times where I'll take like a bite of peanut butter and I get a faint hint.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, nah.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah.
Thank God this is peanut butter.
Lucky it's thick, man. You're lucky this is thick. What is that? You just
oh my God,
I was
that's
just
so bad.
I was just smelling the peanut butter. That's all.
That's so bad. We don't recommend that.
Yeah, don't ever try to snort peanut butter.
What advice would you give someone who's just starting their sobriety journey?
Keep going. 100%. Once you take that first step and you decide to, change your life for the better, the hard days aren't going to last forever. The feeling that you get of quote unquote missing the high, it's not going to be anything better than what you get being high on life. Like that, being able to remember things and being able to function properly and being able to live in the moment, I would say is the best feeling that you're ever going to have, because it just doesn't get no better than that. That's what I told my brother too when I finally got him to recover. I'm like, man, do you not feel good being high on life? Like I really feel it's like
helped him through recovery?
Yeah. Like I really
that's awesome,
well
man.
Actually he got locked up and he went to rehab.
Yeah.
And he asked me, he told me, he's like, how were you able to cold turkey? I was like, dude, it was just a mental thing, bro.
Yeah.
Like it really was. Like I decided, hey, I'm done with this. I can't backtrack. I can't surround myself with the people who would constantly be like, hey, do you want another hit?
Yeah.
Like my uncles and them especially, they were the biggest ones.
Remove yourself from
I had to remove myself from every situation possible. And that's what I'm talking about going forward. Like now, the last time I went and saw my uncle, he still does it.
Wow.
But it got to the point to where I remember when I was first, I want to say like my first 3 months into recovery, he was like, do you want to hit? And I was like, I'm sober. Like, why would you ask me that?
Yeah.
Like, why would you be so disrespectful to even ask that when I've clearly told you multiple times, like, I'm sober?
Yeah.
And then now, like, the last time I went to his house and I went into his room, knocked on the door, he opened it up for me. And he even has so much respect for me being 6 years sober that he put his stuff away.
That's awesome, man.
And I was like, Unc, this is your house. You can do whatever you want. He's like, no. He's like, because you've worked so hard. And he's,
I don't want to trigger you at all.
He's like, I don't want to trigger you. And I was like, dude, I got to the point already, bro, to where if someone was right here and they had a bag with them, it wouldn't even faze me.
I think that's good, man. I think that's a good point. I kind of want to touch on real quick too. Is like when you're beginning your journey, you're gonna get the, hey, you want to drink? Hey, do you want to hit?
Yeah.
You'll get that.
Yeah.
But I think we create habits, and
Absolutely.
people know what our habits are.
Yeah.
And so once your habit of being sober is your lifestyle, people are gonna stop.
Yeah. Nothing
asking
else.
You and suggesting they're gonna, it might be bumpy at first. And so us, as we got to be patient with those people because those people are so used to us being who we used to be.
Yeah.
That it's so we can't get angry. We can't be like, oh man, don't disrespect me that way.
Yeah.
All we got to do is say, hey man, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then because talking goes so much.
Yeah.
But if you walk that walk for so long,
Yeah.
they're gonna see that, bro.
Yeah.
And eventually they're gonna want some of what you got. They want that peace and they
100%.
want that clarity, man. And so I would say, to people that are in recovery, they're still going through recovery, that are sobriety, keep doing what you're doing and keep, leading by example.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have said any better, man, because after that, I remember during that time, like I said, I was the chaser. So my ex-wife would get her high. She would walk out of the room. My brother, my cousins, they would all get, bro, and I would stay in there trying to just, like, I would never come out, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it was very rare that when people would come over, they saw me. Especially the people that we were doing it with.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we came to chill with you. Cool. Like, let's go do what we got to do, and then we'll come back out. We'll play darts. We'll do whatever.
Yeah.
And they never saw me.
Yeah.
Because I would sit there and, like I was saying, I got to the point, bro, where I wouldn't feel nothing. So I would just sit there and constantly light up and just try and try and try. Because they would be on that level, and I'm still, like, right here. And I'm like, damn, I'm trying to catch up with y'all.
Yeah.
And they're like, dude, you've been in the closet for, like, 3 hours. I'm like,
I don't feel shit.
yeah, I don't feel nothing, bro. Like, yeah, like, I would sit there and I would just be like, I'm so mad. Because I couldn't, like, they're on, yeah, yeah, no, seriously, why? Yeah, like, bro, like, they were cloud 9 and I'm just, like, ground 0. Like, it sucked so bad. And they would always tell me, like, dude, you're so lost and, like, trying to catch a feeling that you're never going to get again, that we don't ever see you recovering. Because I was trying, bro, like, I was just trying to chase that high.
Yeah.
And I never could. And they were like, yeah, you're so far gone, you're not coming back.
Yeah.
And I was the first one to recover.
That's awesome, man.
So after I recovered, my brother recovered, my cousin recovered, and we all started, like, it was like
that's
a
awesome.
domino effect.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Yeah, so that was super
That's
super
good
dope.
to hear.
We got about 2 questions left. What message do you hope to convey to those who may still be struggling with addiction and thinking they can't recover?
Everything's possible. Everything, recovery especially. There's so many times where you feel like when you are going through addiction that you're ashamed to be able to tell somebody, but you should always be able to talk about it and know that there's light at the end of the tunnel, for sure. Those dark days don't last, and as long as you have the willpower and you reach out to somebody who may not know what you're going through, but explain to them and let them know that you need some type of support and they're willing to give it to you, take it. Take the help, because your life is worth so much more than a casket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you could go back and give your past self one piece of advice during your active addiction, what would it be? That's always it.
It's a good one to end on.
I feel like I wouldn't change what I went through at all, because it made me the person I am today, and without having to take that path, I wouldn't be who I am today. But if I could give myself, my old self, a piece of advice, be ready for the ride.
That's good. That's really good.
I remember telling Philip, you're in for the fight of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be my piece of advice right there. You're in for the fight of your life.
That's good, man. I was just telling my wife this weekend, it's crazy how God works and allows you to go through certain things, because we went through a really hard time. But I feel like without that storm that God allowed me to go through, I wouldn't have the peace and the clarity that I have now.
Yeah, 100%.
But that storm could have easily turned into a hurricane.
Yeah.
But it was just a storm.
Exactly.
And I'm grateful for the hard times.
Yeah.
Because I can now look back and I know what that tastes like. I know what that looks like. I know what that does.
100%, bro.
And it allows me to not go back to that.
Yeah.
So, and that was good. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, brothers. Likewise.
Yep,
Super
very proud of you.
Appreciate that, bro.
You're making some really good decisions in life, and I think more men, young men your age, need to make grown men decisions like that.
Yeah.
But again, it's not easy. It's not always easy. There's men that are my age that are still struggling. And
Absolutely.
So, again, man, if we can reach out to anybody that needs any kind of help, we want to provide this resource for people that are fighting addiction, that are fighting alcoholism. And we're still figuring stuff out, guys. By no means necessary are we experts on any of these things.
This is our second episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're just telling real life stories and hoping that, they reach somebody. But
Yep.
like Phil said, we have plenty of resources. There's always help out there.
Yes.
Don't hang your head in guilt thinking you have to live with the burden of being an addict. I mean, at one point we're all addicted to something. Phil and I are addicted to the gym. Soul's addicted to working, whether she wants to admit it or not. She
Wants
is.
that money.
Yeah. We're in life, we're all addicted to something. So just don't be afraid to reach out and let let people help you, because I think that's the biggest message that we could really send, that there are people that care about you, there are people that love you, there are people that would much rather hear your problems than have to attend your funeral, for sure.
There's one where it says, like, after addiction, when you go through your sobriety, your compassion changes.
100%. 100%. Like,
towards other addicts. Or
yeah, because I remember when I was going through my addiction, looking at people that I didn't know, I could spot right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like, the people that I would never think that were addicted to something, you learn certain aneurysm, like your behaviors and stuff. You're like, oh yeah, that dude's tweaking for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was in that position. I was able to see it firsthand with my cousins. I was able to see it firsthand with my brothers. Like, so you spot people. But now, when I look at them and I'm sober, like, my biggest thing is, especially like people that I know, I'll go up to someone like, hey man, can I just get you something to eat?
Yeah.
Because I know what that feeling's like, to just want to chase something and not be able to take a moment to actually like feed your body.
Right, and it's all about grace, man. God showed us enough grace to bring us out of the rut. I think we should pass that on, man.
100%.
Towards other people. So, I think that's all we have. We're gonna call it. We're gonna wrap it up, man. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Bags and Bottles. We'll be back next week. This is gonna be dropping next week, so be on the lookout for Jeremiah's story. Brother, thanks again for
yes, sir.
coming on. And,
thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate you.
It was a pleasure.
Yes, sir.
See,
Thank
you
you.
were nervous at first, but